Welcome back, everybody. It's Tuesday night, and that means another episode of Theater Talk Live. Now, tonight, this is another special one, and it's special because I have someone with me that is near and dear to my heart. He's a brother from another mother, and slightly less good-looking than me. That's always a bonus.
100%. That's good. But a D&D brother.
Ooh,
Gary Guyak's Colt.
That's right, a D&D brother, and I'm talking about the one and the only, the Digital Dawn. Welcome to the show, man.
What's up? Thanks, man.
Yeah. So
good to see
you. You called out something, and this has nothing to do with the content that we're going to talk about tonight. So this is a non sequitur. Everybody, don't pay attention to this, but I just have to show off my new acquisition that came in the mail today.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
I just happen to have this sitting beside me. So the brand new Dungeon Master screen for the new version of the Dungeon Master's Guide. So the 2024 versions of everything are coming out now. So there's a new Dungeon Master's Guide, a new player's handbook, and new DM screen, and there'll be a new player's or a new monster manual. Anyway, enough of that. But
did you think when we were nerdy kids, way back? Well, for me, way back in the day, you know, going back to the early '80s. Playing D&D, would ever dream I'd be an old ass nerd on live on the internet. You know what I mean?
I know.
Still nerding out.
I never thought that I would actually have the gumption to say it out loud to people in public forum. Oh, look at my new book! Oh, it's so cool. But yeah, I love it.
I grew up in kind of a relatively rough neighborhood, so we'd have to beat somebody's ass with the D&D books. You know?
But hey, and luckily they were strong enough to do it. Oh, this one is
they were,
man. It's thick.
All
right, so let's get down to business. So today we got a number of topics that we're going to talk about. The main topic for the show is really going to be around media rooms and surround sound and ideas of things people can do in those kinds of rooms and how to make those rooms really, really good. And we were just talking about this before we kicked this off about, you know, when you think about this hobby. You know, a lot of us here in the YouTube community and in the Facebook community and on all the forums, you know, there's a lot of people that are, you know, home theater purists, I guess you would call it. I don't know what the right term is, but you know, it's kind of a small niche, right? The vast majority of people out there don't have, you know, $500,000 and a purpose-built room with stadium seating that's large enough for 2 or 3 rows, and they want to install a 32-channel processor. That stuff's all awesome, and I love it. And there's absolutely a place for that. And you know, I've got some hefty equipment too. But the vast majority of people are media room folks. And Don, you have been a CI guy, custom installer for years. I'm curious about your point of view and your experience over time. You know, what's out there? I mean, I don't have the experience that you do. What do you see?
You're right. Most people that are just dipping their toes into this, and most of my clientele are affluent or, you know, high income bracket, and we do custom homes a lot. But even then, there was almost a home theater in every house built in the early 2000s. Any sizable home, 5,000, 6,000 square foot. That kind of fell out of vogue after the, you know, crash in 2008. So what we got into, if there was a secondary room, it would be like a multi-purpose, a loft or a multi-purpose, like a game room / media room combined, more or less. But then there was always the family room, because in Florida and most places, I think, you're going to see an open great room where people live. You're going to have a kitchen, and you're going to have the TV area or a fireplace. You know, unfortunately, that, you know, especially in Florida, they all have to have fireplace.
Way up high.
Makes sense, yeah. So, and that's where people tend. What we found, and there was a lot of research on this, was that a lot of times these theater rooms or dedicated environments were being located either in a spare area, above a garage in a mother-in-law area, or in a separate part of the home. We're creatures of habit. We all live in our kitchens, our kids, you know, we watch TV morning. We usually have a family room with a living room with a TV, or a lanai in Florida that's kind of connected. So it's all one, more or less one big area. And you'll see that that's where most people live or watch TV shows. And they were finding if people had dedicated environments, and I know for all of us hobbyists, that's a preposterous idea, but they would have these rooms, and sometimes they were fancy rooms, especially in the late 90s and early 2000s. They just never used them. And so that kind of, a lot of my clients, and this is going to get to where it pertains to normal people like me, work for a living. They just, second, third, fourth home, whatever, they just decided they never use it. Now, there's always a client that does and loves to entertain, or the mega wealthy that just have one because they can.
Yeah, just
you're supposed to, yeah. And some of them are extremely, extremely nice. So what we had to do, and of course, being an integrator or a CEDIA integrator, that's the Custom Electronics Installation and Design Association. You can look that up. That's kind of our trade group. They started supporting us with a lot of products to address these family room installs, how to get good sound when you have a fireplace or a built-in cabinet or just an open floor plan room. How and mama will not let you put towers in that room.
Right.
It just ain't happening. You better get in our house for it. So what are you to do? And the industry has responded and then matured and grown into what we have today. So we have a multitude of products, from powered sound bars, which really Yamaha pioneered. I'll have to give them credit, years ago. And of course, companies like Sonos have taken the ball and ran with it and became the biggest and most popular audio system in America, possibly the world. They sound okay. They're not bad, and they're easy to use, and they're easy to place. So what we had to do as integrators is our clients usually wanted a higher performing system than a sound bar that you would buy at a big box store. So we were able over the years to, and I'm talking about myself personally, not we. So
you're muted. You're the ghost in the machine. Got you.
There
you go.
My system. Sorry. So I kind of grew up in the high-end audio. When I first got into it, it was still sitting on a chair, listening to speakers for 3 hours with a sales guy, the real hi-fi culture. And I was very blessed to kind of cut my teeth in that industry. Then as we moved to the integration business and family rooms and different challenges, what I did was I was able to take some of this incredible training from legends in the business like Peter McGrath and whatnot, and apply some of those principles, which are more or less common sense, Giles, to putting a system in a family room or a living room or a relatively austere environment acoustically, if that makes sense.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Now, so one thing I'll add to that too. So I want to get into that a little bit more, but I think the concept of the family and media room, and if you look at the Colorado market, when you're looking at homes that are around the 3,000 to 4,000 square foot, which is kind of like upper middle class kind of price range kind of thing.
Yeah, anywhere.
They're anywhere from $1 million to $1.5 million or something. 5 years ago, they were like 800,000.
Only rich people lived in $1 million home for a long time. But
I wish. What I see is, typically if you're looking at, the typical 2-story with a basement Colorado home, on the main floor, you'll have some type of great room, right? Which will be open concept with the kitchen. But in the basement, I think that's where in Colorado, you get a lot of action with the media room stuff, right? So there'll be a very large open concept area, but, they will design that with a spot that you can tell is obviously intended for some type of home entertainment system, right? Not really suitable for projection because it's such a big space that's open.
Right.
But absolutely a wonderful space if you can put in some kind of technology that you can figure out how to get good sound out of it, and then you could also watch it with the lights on. And I think that's the kicker, right? Things are changing, right? So like you said, in the 2000s, you get those homes with dedicated theater space, obviously meant for projection, but now 100-inch TVs, 110-inch, 115, game changer, right? And then look into the future, and I know I harp on this a lot, but that LED wall technology is going to be priced down at some point one day, where we can scale out to 130, 140, 150 inch screen. It's all about the sound though. So, how do you deal with the sound though? When you want to do surround sound in those big rooms, is the best option like a wireless system that all you need is power, or what do you suggest?
Shut your mouth.
I know. What is that?
Well,
What am I
certainly
speaking? Yeah.
wireless systems are an option. If you're that kind of clientele, you just want some decent sound, better than the TV. You're not really interested in the theater, really immersive movie experience. And that's fine. Again, especially Sonos's new soundbar they just came out with, they sound pretty darn good, especially if you use a couple of their wireless subs. And those are wireless, and they don't sound bad. Big rooms, they can get a little lost with the sheer volume involved in a room. Now, if you load those subs near a wall where you get that boundary gain, you certainly can help that. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's got a calibration system on it on the phone. It's not a bad option for most people. And I think that probably represents a lot. However, if you're the kind of person that has these same limitations aesthetically, aesthetics always rule in my world. The interior designer, the client's aesthetic vision really rules the day. And again, some great manufacturers have responded. Originally, companies like Sonance, not Sonos, Sonance.
Sonance, yep.
Leon is another great company most people haven't heard of, but they make really great solution, very high-end, very artistic hi-fi products. A lot of companies, James Loudspeaker, all came up with these LCR soundbars or satellites or architectural speakers. And now we have a ton of different architectural subs, both that can be mounted in the wall, in the floor, even, and where you have a basement. Any place north of Florida, you can have a basement as a rule, or in the ceiling. We can't have basements down here. So as a designer of systems, I look at a room and then I talk to the owner, talk to the designer more often than not, and find out, what are we working with? Are we going to have a built-in? Or is there going to be a fireplace? Is it going to be more contemporary style with maybe a built-in cabinet down low and a TV with a light kit behind it? Maybe some kind of texture or some kind of tiling on the wall to do that. I find out that, then I look at the architecture of the room. Is it a flat ceiling? How high is the ceiling? How far can I bleed over into another room and not be too intrusive? And I'll explain that a little bit. And then with architectural speakers, which a lot of people poo-poo on, but architectural speakers now are a different ballgame.
Man, I love architectural speakers.
Oh, my Atmos are all architectural. I mean, they solve a problem. Are they as good as a box speaker mounted on the ceiling? Dollar for dollar, usually not. But there are companies that make very high output, very controlled directivity, very good frequency response architectural speakers. Dolly, Kef, Paradigm, Focal, and then going up to like a Per Listen, RBH, all make really good high output architectural speakers that allow you to do a combination of systems. Most popular that I do, the majority of, because it's really hard to do a 7.2.4 in a ceiling. I mean, sometimes you can. And are you going to get the full benefits of it? So a lot of times I'll do a 5.1.4. And I say 0.1 even if I use multiple subs.
Yeah, if they're 40 subwoofers, still 0.1.
The nomenclature's almost changed now. And then I will use, depending on the wall, the finish, where my monitor, whether it be a ultra short throw projector, a projector with products like ambient light reflecting screens pioneered by Screen Innovations and now adopted by a bunch of companies. Your options are pretty open now. You could do a TV with a screen that drops in front of it if you want to hide it and build a soffit to contain it. But the speaker choice for the LCRs are usually the most critical. And I've got options for in-wall, if it permits. I've got options for on-wall, which is a really great option. In fact, I'm reviewing a pair of Focal 302 on-wall speakers now, and they're absolutely phenomenal. They would stand on their own against most high-end bookshelves. or you have the sound bar option, and the evil sound bar option. But you have to understand that with wider TVs, if you're doing a 65 or a 55, you're just not going to get any kind of separation. But the way they design these speakers, knowing the acoustic limitations, they adjust them in the crossovers, the dispersion characteristics of the drivers chosen. You can have a really solid, and in fact, in Gene Della Sala's home, we did a LCR soundbar in his bedroom. Sounds amazing. But if you do a 75, 85, 98, 110, 115, large scale TV, you got a pretty good amount of separation. And you can essentially get what would be 3 LCR type speakers combined into one. And many of the benefits that come with that. However, you're able to aesthetically, preserve the look of the room. You're able to please the designer, able to please your spouse. You're able to please yourself. You can have a big TV, a sound bar that is built to match, or has a grill that's built to match, a pair of subs. And I always do at least 2 subs in every job that I design. You can do them in the wall, you can do them in the ceiling in Florida, and sometimes in areas like where you live, in the ground. Then in the ceiling, I will place the speakers in such a way. Now you have to understand that when we do speakers in the ceiling on these homes, there's a lot of ceiling acne to deal with, and that would be like can lighting and whatnot. So we try to line those up and find the balance between speaker placement and aesthetics in the room. It's got to be symmetrical. It's got to match.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's bad.
It's somewhat of an art form. Like for your rear speakers, sometimes we'll do the ones at angle, and they'll fire down at a certain degree. So you can put them behind you a little bit and fire down, and kind of, in your brain, you don't necessarily, if it's done right and calibrated right, know they're in the ceiling, if that makes sense. Like for the rears, they'll kind of come down and they'll surround you. And then you have your front stage, which is the most important, directly at your seating position. We've achieved some pretty stunning sound in these rooms. Now, when you do a speaker like that, your positioning is kind of dictated to you. So that's where things like Anthem's Arc or Dirac or even Odyssey, Wipeout, whatever the poison is, comes into play a little bit to help you somewhat get there. Now, I'm a big proponent of continued calibration. I don't ever, maybe with Trenov is the closest I've heard, but most people's systems don't cost as much as a Trenov. I would say that there's not an automatic calibration system I've ever heard that made me happy with the sound. And more often than not with my clients. So that's when the ability to either have an integrator that's trained and knows how to measure sound with like an REW, or hire an outboard calibrator. Many times, as long as you have the computer and the correct microphone, they can dial in your computer and do the calibration remotely for you, which is really, really cool. You'd be surprised how good a sound you can get. Now, is it going to sound as good as a really nice set of high-end LCRs or towers, in a box bookshelf? And it's not, but the pure enjoyment you're going to get from it, you're not directly comparing it to another system. When you're sitting there watching a movie and you hear the nuances and the crunch and the sound and the surround sound going around you, and you're comfortable laid out on your couch eating or having a drink or watching the game, does that matter? It's about the enjoyment.
It's so awesome is what it is.
It's about the enjoyment.
I want to go back to a point that you made about the larger screens with a sound bar that's got a truly discrete LCR in it. When you think about a 100-inch screen, that is like 90 inches wide. It's like, what is that? Almost 8 feet, or maybe more than, a little more than.
Yeah, even an 85 is a hostile TV.
You've got a center, and then 4 feet over, almost, you've got your left, and 4 feet over, you got your right in a sound bar, and that's pretty decent separation.
I mean, I did a house where we did about a $2.5 million theater. I can't talk about it yet because I'm under NDA. But in the owner's office, which is this big, huge, Baroque, grandiose granite, like something out of an Italian palace, right? And in his office, we worked with a company that did a $500,000, 16-foot wide, 220-inch diagonal, direct view LED, full 4K, narrow pitch, like
That's
bad to
awesome.
the bone setup. So we had RBH speakers providing the speakers for this particular project. And what I love about this company in particular is their ability to create something, a solution to a problem. They actually built, Jiles, a 16-foot wide LCR soundbar that about that deep, 6.5-inch drivers, AMT tweeter, high-end crossover, that and it came in 5 pieces because it's a little hard to ship something 16 foot.
Yeah.
And we did that, and it's really right at listening level on this massive screen. We put 2 box subs in a cabinet, and we did a pair of rears because it was just his office, 5.1, and he wasn't trying to go in there and watch movies when he's got a $2 million theater 30 steps away. But it sounded great. And, we did calibration. I think we used the NAD flagship preamp processor with Dirac. And we're still working on it, but you can get some pretty impressive sound and still preserve the aesthetics of your room. I'm not saying that's the best choice always. I'm saying that is a choice that my clients make and I make for them, with them, on a daily basis. And they're very satisfied with the sound that they get. They get good, clear dialogue. They get great dynamics. Again, depends on some sound bars are really thin and have 3-inch drivers. Some, like RBH, makes one that has 8-inch drivers and a big giant AMT tweeter that'll play 120 dBs. So the world is your oyster to do that. And please understand that you'll absolutely are capable of getting really, really good sound, even on stereo.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. And the madness. Okay, you got to help me translate his statement here. Don't forget the ultimate importance of the placement of the Vaders will be the make or break of any great system.
Yeah, on my main system, I got a big, huge salamander cabinet. The one where I sent you the picture with the Arendals, and I had the RBH there. I've got 2 really. I like to collect Star Wars memorabilia, and
it's the Darth Vaders.
Yeah, okay. these statuettes, kind of backlit, looks kind of cool if you're a nerd.
And,
audio,
I love that stuff. And Ask Audio Gandalf.
That's a friend of mine. He's like 4'9". He's got hairy feet.
It sounds more like a Frodo.
I'm gonna have him carry the ring. He's awesome. But so in family rooms, that more or less is what we do the majority of. Now, we used to do, back in the day, we used to do all the speakers in the ceiling, and that's still done because most integrators nowadays have little to no real true audio knowledge. And I hate to say that until you get into the bigger companies. Right. A lot of them are younger and they never really, and it's not necessarily their fault. Audio is just another SKU. They just put something here and something here, and it usually sounds pretty good. I mean, the industry's kind of groomed them to do that. It's another SKU. To me, audio has always been the sauce. Like, the automation's amazing. The lighting control is one of my favorite things in the world. Landscape lighting, motorized shading, all a multitude of things that we do as integrators. But, lighting control never made you spontaneously dance with your wife in the kitchen. Motorized shades never took you back to a time you were in college at a concert that you'll never forget. Audio is the sauce, man. And I always try to sell an environment of lighting, and we're going to do some streams. I know Audioholics. Oh, by the way, I'm going to be launching a weekly stream on Audioholics every Monday, I believe at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. We haven't decided yet, with a bunch of guests. And obviously I'll have you on, Jiles.
You would love to come on. That'd be super awesome.
We'll have some cool people in there, but the lighting.
Make sure to hit me with that link and I'll put it down in the notes.
Sure. Yeah. As soon as we get together. Absolutely. Yeah. But you can achieve pretty good sound in the environment that the room is in. Like, I don't like to listen with the lights on upright. Like, I can't really explain it. I'm sure there's somebody from Harman that's done $1 million worth of research on it, but listening in the dark without a big bright monitor on in front of you to music really just changes your mood, man. I do it every single day. It's awesome. And cool. Good accent lighting. It doesn't have to look like a nightclub, with the pink and the purple RGBW. Good, elegant lighting, good sound, something that's easy to use. That's the sauce, man. But anyways, I don't mean to digress.
I have ideas about sauce too. And one of the things for me in a media room that I can't get over it. And you know, in the echo chamber of home theater world, people disagree with me left and right, and I get it. You know, I have a different point of
No,
view,
not in this
but
business. Yeah.
but when I sit down and I look at a screen that is high quality, and I'm not talking about a projector, I'm talking about like a really nice LG OLED,
Oh yeah.
and I turn on Kaleidoscape, and the tiles come up, and you know it's got perfect blacks. Man, I just look at it and I'm all like, this is beautiful.
Three-dimensional.
I mean, it's just so beautiful to me. And yeah, I know people are like, oh, it's too harsh. I like reflected light, and that's all good. I love it. I mean, I like a nice Christie projector too, right? But man, I love that direct view display. But the problem was I could never get it big enough, right? And as Jiles, I still can't afford to get it big enough, but there are people that can. And man, you know, like and I'll harp on this again. Everybody's heard me say this a million times. But if you were a CETA and you went to the Sony display and you saw their LED wall inside of that theater, you'll know what I'm talking about. Man, that's
So projectors have always been a necessary evil. I do love the look of a really good projector, and you get so much more for your money now than you did 10 years ago. Crazy. I mean, you can get a $6,000 projector that'll literally destroy a Runco that I was putting in at 30, 40 grand a pop.
Yeah,
you know,
very true.
Back in the mid 2000s, just destroy it. And it's quieter, and it's a laser, so you don't have to replace the bulb constantly. It doesn't completely heat your room quite as much. So absolutely love projectors, especially when you're going to like 235 or a scope screen of some type. You know, it's a real true cinematic experience. However, speaking from not hobbyist, but a working professional, the overwhelming majority of all my clients always would prefer a direct view screen. They don't care about IFF calibration. They don't care about HDR. They just want it to look good and pop. And when I deal with, I'm very technical. Very technical. But when I meet with my clients, I just talk about the experience. If they want to get technical, we can get technical. But I don't get into this and that. And you got to, they don't want to hear it. They're just like, I mean, the guy, not always, and I don't want to prejudge, but usually it's the dude wants a killer setup, and mama just wants this beautiful appearance, man, and puts a squash on that pretty quick. I run the interior of this place. So I'm able to satisfy both of them. And to me, that's very satisfying to do that. And I think a lot of people are like that. And it's not a bad thing. It is what it is. People's homes are an expression of who they are. And a lot of people don't want it to be a stereo like my house. That's an expression of who I am.
Yeah. Like speaking of that, so first off, the man says, did you set up the TCL 115? So I can't get TCL. I haven't been able to persuade them to send me the 115 yet, as that's a $20,000 set. But I'm going to spin my camera here, and this might make it unplug and die. I'll come back if it does, because these cables are kind of precarious. But so you can't really tell, but I have a set of 4 home theater seats behind me that I've moved out of the other room as I test another set. But over here, that's a TCL 98-inch that's sitting on some rollers over there, waiting to be mounted. And there's the let me see. Those are those blue towers that you were talking about. The Starke Sound ICH5s, and then this is the SVS Ultra Evolution Pinnacles are one of them, and then the other one is back there somewhere. Anyway, I got, and then these are what's the brand? The Valencia seats right here. There's like 4 of them all taken apart. Anyway, but that's the TCL TV, and it will be going up eventually. It's kind of funny because I've got bleeped. So I've got that 100-inch right there, but in the actual room right now, I've got a 65-inch TV.
You gotta move it.
And that was just
easy. Not easy.
Yeah. So anyway, that's if people want me to do the 115, please reach out to TCL and ask them to send one to me. I will be more than happy to create all the content, because that TV is amazing. And the Hisense 110, amazing. They are just beyond anything. I mean,
Yeah, I was checking them out at Cedia. So, moving on to this realm of what I do, which a lot of people here may or may not care about. Maybe they might want to do something in their family room if they got another room that they have, big towers or LCR set up in, and certainly reach out. I'll give you any kind of advice I can. So switching gears back to our realm.
Yep.
And all the home theater groups that we're in, when most people are going to buy towers, a big TV or an ultra short throw projector, one or two subwoofers. Usually now it's two subs.
Yeah, two.
And some rear speakers, and all kinds of. We're on a group called Roast My Rig on Facebook.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's all on good. Yeah, I'll bring you in, or if I haven't already, it's a load of fun because you just put your system up, no matter if it's, Wilson and Krell or, some of the stuff people put up is horrible. And some of the wire management that some people put up is just preposterous. I'm like, good God, man, have some pride about yourself. And when I get my channel and everything going with Audioholics, I got a master installer and huge audio fanatic that goes to all the shows. He's a good friend of mine. We're going to start doing some tips and tricks on how to groom and manage your wiring, because nobody ever talks about that because it's not sexy. But it is sexy, if you're going to do a system, present it nice is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But so most people will do their research. My journey I want to have a home theater. So they go on the Facebook groups, they go on the forums, and they start getting confused. And you got the Klipsch cult, and you got this group to buy the pole, and you got to buy that. And they're like, oh, and the copper drivers are staring at them. But people will buy these products with a little bit of research, take them home, put the TV on a stand, put the TV on, not even hang it. If you're not hanging your TV, you're doing it wrong. I don't know what to tell you, but hang, that's what they're made for. They look so much better, and hide the wires on the wall.
Yeah. Actually put the wires in the wall. Yeah.
It's really, really easy to do, or don't run wires across your ceiling hanging down. I know I'm being a snob here, but that's what I do. But people will take these and they'll go, oh, the left goes here, bonk. The right goes here, bonk. In this corner, right? And right up in the corner. It's nice. It's square like Tetris. Shove it right in the corner. Shove that, put the center channel right on the cabinet. So the cabinet's here. They'll put the center channel to about the middle. Yeah. So now your speaker's doing this, and I'm not changing my voice, but now I really can't understand my center channel, Jiles. Maybe I need some Dirac on it.
or you can just push it up to the edge of your freaking table.
So this is when we start to take, a little bit of stuff from the hi-fi world that's not snake oil. I'm not saying we're putting big $1,200, $12,000 cables on, and we'll drag some of that audio knowledge on it. And one of the things that's hugely important is placement of your speakers. Where they live in the room is absolutely critical. Your left and right stereo pair being the anchor, the base. Then your center channel being the next step to address. And of course, the rears are what they are. And again, people tend to forget that they're for effects. They are for sound going around you. They're not for main programming material. They're usually going to be played in burst. Yep. Sound going around. You want them to blend, but you don't even have to have the same exact, the timbre must match. Kinda, to a point. Sure, if you can do it, great. But if you've got Klipsch rears and Polk end ceilings and Focal fronts, you'll live.
Yeah, and you won't, dude. You won't know. You got to be like,
I know you won't know, but all the internet trained experts who, how does it measure? Well, do you even know what that measurement means, dude? Really? Or you just regurgitating some shit you saw online, right? What matters is how you wind up calibrating it. But starting off with that, and there's three parts. So I'll group two of the parts under one, and I call it mechanically treating the sound, which you can completely transform and change the sound of any room by mechanically treating it. One, speaker placement. What kind of speakers do I have? And how am I mounting them? Where are they going to live? How are they connected to the room that they're playing in? If that makes sense. If we look at it from a 10,000 foot view, How are these speakers going to connect with the room they play in? Because it's absolutely critical and completely transform the sound of a room. Then we focus on the center channel. If you're like most people, you have a center channel that sits on a cabinet of some type. It is what it is. You have to think about this logically. You don't have to be an audio guru to understand that the front of that speaker should always be at the minimum, even with that cabinet, or at the minimum a half an inch or so in front of it. So now you're taking this away and kind of putting it here. Is it going to have some effect on the speaker? Sure, a little bit, but it's going to help tremendously to do that. And I see tons of systems, and you see them too, Giles. I've even got tired of making a general recommendation because they're like, "Who are you? Like you know everything." Sorry, but take that speaker. Then we take some tricks from the audio world, and we try to decouple them as best we can, isolate them from their surroundings, meaning every speaker floating in free space is where it's measured and gets its best sound. But when you start putting it near things, walls, floors, cabinets, other speakers, they start to interact and they cause a change in the sound. So if you take the center channel, buy at the minimum some kind of good rubber feet. Preferably you buy something like ISO Acoustics or Via Blue or some kind of isolation puck or center channel stand. ISO Acoustics makes some fantastic center channel stands that are built just like the ones they offer for professional studios that will lift up your speaker a little bit, helping to decouple it from the cabinet, and it will isolate it, mechanically isolate it, and sometimes even angle it up a little bit so you get a little bit better sound. And it doesn't, you don't have to spend $1 gazillion to do that. So am I boring you? Am I being
no,
a little boring?
I agree with all that stuff.
But,
and I was just at the Toronto Audio Fest, and ISO Acoustics was there, and they were showing off all their stuff. And I'm going to try and get my hands on. And this is because I mix audio at my desk here, right? And these monitors I have are on the desk.
Oh yeah,
on it, right.
I've got some, dude, right now,
and they're too low.
They make a huge difference.
Yeah, and I want to get those ISO acoustic stands, lift them up, get the tweeters more on ear level, angle them just a little bit. It's going to be awesome. And then they make like you said, there's a pro stand that I think might have been initially designed for like bass guitar amps or guitar amps.
Oh yeah. The Pro series,
but it's almost perfect for a center channel. Yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
You got that big.
You need a lower
big old Mama Jama. I say that now. I probably got the biggest center channel man right now.
You'd need 3 of them for that.
But if you do that, you isolate it. There's a multitude of products. I'm not going to go through a list of every product. If you do that, bring your center. And my center channels always stick forward of the cabinet because I have a really nice salamander cabinet, still a piece of wood and metal, and angle that out. If you're, my favorites when you take the center and stick it in a little space that IKEA builds for a center, and then you put your TV on a stand. You're like, I'm not really hearing the center that good, and it's like that far from the floor. I'm like, of course you're not.
Yeah, it's pointing at
you're not giving it a fair chance. Even if you have a center that you're not loving, if you move the center channel and adjust it, you might change your mind. You might get a night and day difference in sound. You're certainly going to get much clearer dialogue. Much better dispersion on the center channel if you do that. So that's my first piece of advice. Do that. But even before you get into all of that, take your speakers. And I'm in my brain, I've got like a pair of Klipsches because that's the most popular passive speaker in America anyways. And you measure them out. Don't push them against the wall. Please don't do that unless they're specifically designed to be closer, and they'll tell you in the documentation, you're going to get a whole lot of problems with that. The closer you get to that rear boundary, if you can pull them out,
if they're rear ported, that's bad times.
Oh, well, especially if they're rear ported, you're going to get boundary gain. You're going to muddy up your bass. You might get more of it, but it's not accurate bass. Try to come off the wall. Most of my speakers at my place are off the wall. I think the back of the speaker, and they're deep speakers, is 12 inches. Which is kind of a good medium. So a lot of audio files. So I'm building my dedicated room right now for 2-channel for my channel. Allow myself to introduce myself. Sorry. And that's going to be a dedicated, acoustically treated, perfect environment. And they're going to sit out considerably further from the wall for testing. But we just can't do that usually in the real world. So try to be 12 inches. If it's closer, it's okay, depending on the speaker design. If it's ported, as far out as you can get it. Then a lot of rooms have L-shaped walls or areas where one speaker is against a wall, and mine's not too far from a wall, and one speaker is in an open area. They're never going to sound completely balanced because you've got one speaker fully just giving you dispersion, and the speaker on the other side by the wall is coming out this way, but it's doing this. The sound is doing this.
Yeah,
so you're getting in a completely different sound. You can mitigate that stepping to the next part of the mechanical treatment, and that is using acoustic treatments to do that. Preferably, if you could do, if you got one wall or even two, like in a theater room or dedicated room, you want to try to absorb that first reflection for a home theater typical surround sound. Now, there will be people that argue you need a combination of diffusers and absorbers in a dedicated room, and that's very well true. If your room's small, you want less absorption, more diffusion sometimes to make it spatially seem bigger, but I digress. But you want to absorb that using acoustic treatment. Now, acoustic treatments are made now. You know, my wife won't let me do that. Well, they make them now where it's a piece of art or a family.
They look pretty. Yeah.
Vicoustics is just one manufacturer comes to mind. You can send in a family photo. You can send in, pick from hundreds of different art pieces and put up an acoustic treatment that'll help to absorb that sound and balance that out and mitigate it a little bit. Sub placement, really, there's been so much written on that. Most people have, the picture, 2 Klipsch speakers, 2 subs, a cabinet, and a center, right?
Yeah.
The subs, you did a great job doing 2 subs, but 2 subs that close together is not going to give you, the consumer that spent your hard-earned money, the full effect of multi-sub. It's just not. If you can sometimes take, and there's a perception the wider off that your front speakers are, the better your sound's going to be. That is not true at all. A lot of that has to do with the design of the speaker, the dispersion, and also the toe. If you can toe it in, if you can put the speakers usually a little bit further apart, that more often than not, you'll get more benefits of multi-sub. Ideally, you would put one in the front, one on the sidewall, or one in the back. There's really no right or wrong formula, but try to separate those to balance and then balance them out in the programming and whatnot. But
well, for me, I just like to get like a bunch of them that are 24 inches in diameter and stack them up. That's my secret sauce.
Hello, GSG, are you there?
I was just talking to Kevin Sorkin earlier today.
Dude,
I think I want to get some big ones.
Yeah, they make some big ones. Yeah, for sure. But a little care and feeding, and you can experiment. Bring your speakers out, measure so they're perfectly flat. And a lot of people don't know what. Are afraid to ask what on access is and what off access is. And it's really simple. All this is pretty simple. Off access is when the speakers are parallel to the wall and they're facing straight out. So the tweeters are firing past your listening position. Yeah.
They're not pointing at you.
Correct. Right.
Yes.
That is the access. Right.
Yep.
And you don't have to have a perfect triangle. The triangle is important. How the distance and how wide it is not so much important. Do try them off access and play 3 or
4. You're muted again. Your computer does not like what you're saying. There you go.
It's the CIA. They've infiltrated.
They
so try it that way. And some speakers are designed to perform their best. Like Dolly, for instance, recommends that you always place them off access. That's not always necessarily true depending on the room, but you try it that way. Then I recommend in 1-inch increments, you toe the speakers in and you creep them in towards being on access to your listening position. And more often than not, if your speaker is not sounding its best off access, that little bit of toe and that dispersion characteristic is going to change how it interacts with the room. And it might open up. I've literally heard an inch. Tell my girl that. An inch.
Yeah, 1 inch can make a huge difference.
May not please a woman, but it'll please your ears. And it does make a difference, Giles. Sorry.
So here's a practical real world application of exactly what you're talking about. So in my room, one side, the speaker is like right in the corner. It's really close, right? It's too close. Right. And then on the other side, there is another 4 feet before you get to the wall, because there's a stairwell that comes down, right?
Right.
So for me, what made a humongous difference is on that left side where I'm in that corner, I added absorption on that left wall by the speaker, and then I also towed it in a little bit. Night and day difference. Night and day.
No, it's unless you've experienced it, you might doubt what we're saying, but I'm telling you, the slightest change will change. And you know, as your speakers are a little wider, that a lot of times you'll get a bigger sound stage. Say if you had the perfectly open room, and then as you tow the speakers in, that's going to focus that sound more and make it a little more intimate. It won't collapse your sound stage on a good speaker, but it'll shrink a little bit. But in the right room, it might improve it because you're now overcoming all these boundary and room limitations that you've been dealing with. And that's super important. You don't have to have $20,000 front speakers to take advantage of it. You can have $500 front speakers and use carry and play with a Yamaha receiver or Marantz receiver and a couple of little subs. And, you know, you've worked really hard. You've done your homework. But if you're going to do all that, you want to take full advantage of whatever you buy, whatever brand of product. Take the time and the care and feeding to make it sound its best. And they're all different. All speakers, I mean, a speaker can measure almost identical, but when you sit down and play it, have a very different tonal sound than the next speaker. Yeah. And you can't measure that I know of. You just can't.
Oh, I agree. I mean, you can, like you said, 2 speakers measure absolutely flat, sound different.
So Teo from Audioholics, he said, good measurements help you decide if you want to date the girl, but the sound is make you decide if you want to marry her. And I always like that statement. Yeah, it's really cool because it's true. So do your research, and there's so many good products out there now from Polk, Klipsch, Kef, and some of them are very affordable. B&W. I mean, I hate to say brands because you leave somebody RBH, and Arendelle. You know,
there's a billion brands. Yeah,
there's a billion brands, and there's a lot of really good ones. People always say, "Oh, reviewers are paid shills. They never have a bad review." Well, send me something bad to review, and I'll tell you it's bad. Like, there's not that much bad gear out there. I mean, you kind of, if you're in the business long enough, you kind of know when something. But sometimes you look at something that looks like, you know, you made it in your garage and the thing sounds amazing. You never can tell when you do that. But you know, my thing tonight would be care and placement, and we can talk about calibration. You know,
well, I mean, there's calibration is a topic unto itself. I think we could spend, you know, hours and hours talking about that. I will say that, you know, I've been playing with the new Onkyo RZ30. So it's their maybe third step down from the top.
Great amps in those new Onkyos.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know, they've got the 70, the RZ70, and then the 50, which is an older model. And the 30 and 70 have newer technology. And the 30, I guess it slots in lower than the 50, although I think I kind of like the 30 better. But in any event, I threw that in the living room, and I've got a left and right, and then 2 subwoofers, right? And the placement on this stuff is just all horrible, right? You know, the speakers at least are sealed, but they're kind of close up on the wall and blah blah blah. And then the subs are like on either side of the sofa, which is, I guess, it's not too bad. But man, the Dirac, just the built-in, not even the full huge license,
not the full range, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have the super bass management or whatever that piece is called, but man, it did a pretty darn good job of making those speakers sound good. You know, I listened to them before running it and listened to afterwards, and it's a marked improvement.
Just the auto calibration.
Yeah, just the auto. I mean, you know, not as good as if you had a pro come in and deal with it, but for the lay person that's coming in on, you know, a $1,500 processor or whatever the price of the 30 is. It's amazing what you can get out of this gear nowadays. It's pretty cool.
So in the calibration part of it, really the management of the bass, because low frequencies are the foundation of good sound.
Yeah.
You rarely will hear even a high-end, really good system that lacks good bass and think it's a good sounding system, because it's just not. And I'm not talking about booty shake bass, but just good, solid musical bass to do that. And the Dirac, really, especially that low frequency run, does a really good job of trying to identify phase, try to identify and make some calculations the human ear can't hear based on that. But I always like to do, and on my own systems and stuff, is if I run a calibration system like that, is then go in, granted it has a PEQ, which most of them do, and then run REW and listen and then measure and really tweak that out, because most of these systems put your rears too low, this too high. It's not always accurate. And I like to bring it in. If I've had people do audio calibrations to a point, and really a lot of video calibrations over the years, back when we were doing a lot of ISF video calibrations, and almost all the time when the calibration was done, the people are like, it's too dark, can you brighten it up? Or I don't hear enough of the rears.
Yeah.
And most good calibrators, like my boy Matt Pose or Brandon Hill or whatever, they'll get something dialed in really good, then you build on that. I do. Right. In my room, I really like a little bit more surrounds or mic back surrounds, or I like my front speakers to be a little bit more in your face. And then you can kind of fine tune it. Calibrate the system to where you like it, not what the computer says. Obviously, you need measurements to know where you're at and get you there. But if you're hearing something or not hearing something, don't be afraid to say, hey, can we add this in?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And, kind of related. And we talked about this on the phone the other day, but I'm doing more and more TV content now, and I've got to come up with that more extensive measurement toolkit, right? So that I can have some actual numbers to back up my opinion. My opinion's good, and I know what I'm looking at, but that's
I hook you up with Jason Dustle, man. He's the dude, man. He runs Meridio for AV Pro Edge Global, which owns Audio Control. Meridio makes all the equipment to measure and calibrate. I'm sure he's got something in his repertoire to help you out there, to do more video calibrations. And screen's important, when you're doing a system with a flat panel TV, and to an extent, unless you're doing a AT screen, the screen's going to interact a little bit with your sound. Can be helped. Sure. You're not going to. I know guys that put like acoustic coifs over their, blankets over their TVs when they're listening. I don't go to that extent, but all these things can be mechanically and digitally overcame, even in an open room. If you come to my house, which I have an open door for any enthusiasts that want to do, and you listen to my system in an open floor plan, I challenge you to hear too many rooms that sound better than mine, even a dedicated theater at any level.
That's awesome.
But that's hours of painful calibration and second guessing oneself. Wait, on that song, the voice was a little bit transparent, but in this, it's the curse. You've done it.
Oh, I know. And to go back to another thing you said before, so this is what you do. This is your business, right? So if anybody is looking to contact Don and they don't know how to get to you, I've got a link down below that takes them to a form that they can put questions in.
Oh, sure.
If they fill that out and they say, man, send this to Don, I will make sure that your question, comment, request, or whatever makes it to the right spot. So don't be shy. That link is down there right now. So if you want to contact them, and then for your business, where do you
just put my email up? That'd be easier. So I work for a company called Sound Ideas out of Gainesville, Florida. They've been in business since 1977. They started as a quintessential hi-fi shop.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're muted again. I've never seen it auto mute like that before. That's crazy. You're still muted. Nope, still muted. Still. Okay, unmuted. Yay.
Hi, hello everyone. Hi, I'm Digital Dawn.
They started.
I'm here to bore you with our audio talk. Is what I'm here to do. They're a great company, high-end integrator, do just killer jobs. Macintosh dealer, Sonus Faber, Paradigm, some of the best brands in the business, put my plug in for them. Great. In fact, I am flying next week to New York City to go check out Macintosh's a big demo House of Sound.
Oh, House of Sound. I've been wanting to go there. That's going to be awesome.
Dude, me
Tell me
too.
how it is, man. I want to know.
I'm going to do some filming, make some videos. I'm excited because I'm a huge fan of Mac. It actually is really good gear. I know everybody's like, oh, Macintosh is just overpriced. You get what you pay for with it. It's good gear and it's built to last. And they got some cool, unique patented technologies. But I'm a big Sonus Faber fan. I don't know of any company that makes finer cabinetry than they do. I don't know what it is about the Italians, but you just can't beat them, man. They always come out with something just beautiful, like a supermodel and a speaker.
Mm-hmm. And their I forget what the model of their new big one is. But
their flagship, 750 grand.
Yeah, they have ISO acoustics built into the base of it, so that's actually integrated in it.
I can't wait to. I think they have that set up there with the big O, size of a refrigerator, Macintosh amps without outboard power supply. So I'm excited to hear that. But getting back on track, man. We're going to do some videos moving forward. I know boring to some people, helpful to other people, like a mechanic. I'm going to show you how to change your oil in your 1937. We're going to do that and show you how to groom, easy tips and tricks, things to make the presentation of your system, because it's great to have good gear, but if you got a dirty floor and wires hanging everywhere and a disheveled TV with wires hanging out, you're like, look at my system. And I'm like, come on, dude, have some pride about yourself. To do that. So, and we might even do some stuff on how to retrofit wires in 2 rooms instead of trying to use that ugly Home Depot, wire management,
white plastic strip.
Stuff. Dude, people do it. They don't know better. So we're going to try to help them out there. Again, coming from my experience, and I've done it all. I've done installation, pre-wired 100 homes at least, if one. I've been a programmer for many years for like Control 4, and I do design and sales and social media now. But if we can take some of that and give it out to people and really help, and it helps our business because people see us and they're building a home and they're in our area. They're like, why would I not want these guys to do my job? Obviously, they know what's up. So
yeah, that's awesome. Cool. So I do want to cover a couple of more things before we run out of time, and we're getting close to the hour now. Black Friday's coming. So if people are looking to make purchases, now is going to be the time. I know I'll be doing some roundups of deals and that kind of stuff and creating some content around that. So, make sure that you subscribe here if you want to see that stuff drop. And speaking of channels, your channel, let's put that up on the screen.
Well, there's nothing there yet. It's coming though.
It doesn't matter. They can go. So
it's coming.
It's at what? Digital Dawn.
It's Digital Dawn AV.
Digital Dawn AV.
Yeah, YouTube.
So tell me if I got this right. Is that DIGITAL Dawn AV? All right.
Yeah.
So youtube.com/@DigitalDawnAV. Make sure you go there and subscribe to.
I appreciate it, man. So when I do have content, it's going to be good. I might not release 100 videos. I'm going to do a lot of live streams, and I'm going to co-mingle. And Jiles and I and Gene Delasal, I had a great conversation the other night about, and several other influencers, AV guys, reviewers, kind of coming together and sharing some of their knowledge and whatnot, and maybe fighting everybody's a paid shill. You're getting paid. I ain't getting paid. I'll be living here in a rental house.
I would love to be getting paid more than I get paid. So if anybody wants me to be a shill, just add.
I can't quit my day job. The full-figured exotic dancing thing that just dried up. So
that your OnlyFans not really getting it anymore for you. No.
I'm the only fan on my OnlyFans.
Yeah, you're the only fan of your OnlyFans. Okay, so let's this is where I would say before we close, let's talk about your new content that you got coming out. So I think we've covered that pretty well.
Probably the first is going to be this Arendal 1528 review. Nice. I've done some stuff with Youth Man. I've done some stuff with Gene. Absolutely game-changing speaker, man. They're pretty stunning.
They're the business.
They're the business for the money. I mean, it's easy to go, well, they're only $10,000. They represent a tremendous value. And some people's like, they might as well be on Mars, right? I get it, but I'm old and I've been doing this forever and accumulated stuff. But these speakers are really fabulous, and I'm excited to. I'm still evaluating, tweaking. Think I got them dialed in now. I think I got them calibrated. So now it's just a lot of listening, and with my girlfriend who has much better hearing than I do.
That's awesome. Cool. So everybody keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. Make sure you subscribe to his channel, to Don's channel, and then also ring the bell so that when the video drops, you'll get notified so you can go check it out. And whoever
and Jiles, we're going to start doing this on a pretty regular basis.
I'm down to do it every week. So as many times as you can get here.
Unless I have an event or I'm stuck at work. Absolutely. I mean, especially if you're on that central or what you're on, not central time. You're on what?
I'm Mountain time in Colorado. Yeah. I live just south of Denver.
John Denverson.
And I will continue to find guests to come in. Don and I can be the kind of the moderators and the daily constant talent, but my goal is to bring in industry guests as well, right? So we'll have all kinds of folks on from different places talking about whatever their hot new thing is, right? And then we'll also cover off topics that are important to people, right? Not everybody wants to hear Sonus Faber come on and talk about their new $100,000 speakers. Cool.
Well, maybe we should have some fellow integrators, like high-end integrators,
absolutely,
who are in the field building these theaters that you read about in magazines, with the big budgets, and talk about what trends are working for them. We should talk about, controlling your system. I'm going to do a whole series of videos on what's the best controlled option on how to, from something simple. Since Harmony went away, it left a big void. It really did.
Huge void.
And now you went from $400 or whatever to $1,400. Yeah. And then you go up to the Control 4s and the Savants and all that, and you get really freaky. Obviously the best choice, but also the most expensive out of most people's price range. So we're going to explore from Raspberry Pi to Apple HomeKit to, some of the new emerging technologies like Thread and Matter, which are going to be a dominant force down the road. We don't have to strictly talk about just hi-fi. I mean, I've got vast experience because I do it every day. How do you wire a house? What cabling should I use? Speaker cables. I got a lot of thoughts on that. So whatever you're fancy, man.
Yeah. And then, if people want to, hear about something specific, let us know. We can talk about whatever people want to hear, and we want to talk about what people want to hear about, right? We want there to be value when you come here and listen to us yak. We want you to be entertained, right? But if you can get something out of it that's useful, right? Learn.
You got a resource, man. People pay me and my company a ton of money for well, obviously we sell and install it and do it's holistic, but really for our advice and design and being able to communicate with them, understand their vision. And, if you reach out within reasons, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if I can help a brother or sister out, I'm not judging, whatever, non-binary, I hope you too. We'll do that. We'll absolutely would love to do that because I love vision, picture and sound. I love movies. That's my sauce every day. When I'm not training or working, I'm doing that. And I think you're probably the same, Giles, when you get time.
Oh yeah. No, I love movies, but man, I tell you what, I am a television fanatic.
Sure.
I love.
You're like Youth Man. He doesn't care about it. He's like, I'll never sit and listen to music. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. I listen to music too. Don't get me wrong.
Right, sure.
And I love movies, but dude, I love television series. I like having, a story that plays out over the course of 10 or 12 hours.
That you can't shove into a movie.
Exactly. I just love that.
Yeah, like Shogun. Oh, did you watch that?
Not yet. It's on my list.
Oh, dude, like bump your list. You need to, or Vox Machina, the new season 2.
Yeah, I've watched all of those, man. Oh, that dude, the dragon fight with the demon thing.
Oh, dude, he was like ripped its arm off. Yeah, no, it was totally nerd heaven. My daughter's a huge. She's in theater. She's gonna get a scholarship for theater. Won national awards for costume design. She's a huge cosplayer, and which I love because I've been going to con since the 80s. And you know, that's a thing that bonds us. We share it. We watch Demon Slayer, and we watch, you know, Vox Machina, and, you know, Castle Transylvania, great series. I mean, it's cool to be able to do that. And a lot of these are in Atmos too. But yes, I sorry.
What's the show? It just dropped. It came out yesterday. No, day before.
Arcane.
Oh my God,
dude.
Even if people hate animation, look, you gotta watch Arcane.
That show is built for stoners.
Oh, so
I'm telling you, with those little, like, it goes into like that music video portion and all that, you're like, wow.
Have you watched season 2, episode 1?
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude, it was so heartbreaking.
I watched all 3 of them, the 3 that came out.
The funeral and the way they did the black and white kind of.
It's yeah, that show's amazing. You know, I do like, but my problem is like I consume media. Like, I want something new. I've seen everything 10 times. I'm a movie guy. I'm an 80s kid. I know there's like 10 movies I can quote the whole movie, every word, and it's annoying to everybody. But there's just a lack of content coming out. So a lot of times we'll watch a show that comes out like The Penguins. You see that?
It's on my list too, dude. I got something on my list.
So the show will end, and I'll turn off the TV because I hate the bright light, and I'll put on my app, 2-channel music on Qobuz, or, you know, sometimes Tidal, and my girlfriend and I'll just sit and listen on a couch, dude. But when you got a really, really killer system, like I always have killer systems because
it's your thing, man. Oh, you're muted again. You're muted again. we gotta fix this problem.
You think?
Yeah. All right. So a really killer system, and when
you got a killer system, and you just sit and you close your eyes and you just play it at volume, dude. Not crazy, just, and the sound stage is huge, and you hear shit you never heard before. Even if you've heard a song, you're like, wow, did you just hear that? That's my sauce, man. I love them both, but, you know, I'd almost rather sit and listen to music and have a glass of wine and just, you know, with good lighting and maybe light a nice candle and go to Bed Bath & Beyond and set the mood.
And nothing wrong with it.
People are like,
and nowadays we live in the golden age of access to music. Okay, you remember when we were young? If we wanted to listen to something, we had to go hunt it down on a piece of vinyl.
My dad's Cheech Chong album, man.
Yeah,
everybody's had it.
You're muted again. You're off. You're muted. You're muted.
Yeah, I gotta fix this, dude. Sorry,
We'll figure it out. I don't.
Yeah. So now on my phone, I literally have, for $10 a month, have access to every song ever made known to man. I make playlists. When I go for the walk or go to a gym, I put on my earbuds, dude. Boom, it's there. I get in my truck, go to work. I'm driving. Boom. Like we're spoiled. I'm if I can listen to a song from start to finish. Now I do that on Atmos, because let me tell you, if you're not doing Atmos music and you have a good Atmos system or are thinking about it, do it. You got to get an Apple TV really to take advantage of it, you know, from a streaming standpoint. But man, dude, and it's still new, so they're still learning how to use it. So a lot of them, they just went back and, let's throw Prince 1999 together. And it's like, it doesn't sound good. But things that have been crafted, like the Dark Side of the Moon 50th anniversary, is literally a visceral experience. And it like from start to finish. Or good Atmos music is the next dimension of sound. And it done properly, as much as I love 2-channel stereo, there's nothing that can match it, man.
Yeah, it's good. It's good times. It's good times.
That's all I got to say about that.
All right. So I think that's going to be our ending spot. So our asks of you, the viewers. Well, and first, thank you so much for taking your time to sit with us and listen.
It's really cool.
Hopefully learn something. And Don, thank you for your time as well. I really appreciate it. And then
hope I wasn't too boring tonight, but I just wanted to get a lot of ground.
No, you were perfect.
All right. Thank you.
But we do want to know what you want to hear about, right? So if there are technical things, if there's how-to things you want to know, let us know. We like to talk about content. If there is something that you are interested in, a TV show that you like, let us know. I will watch it. Don will maybe watch it. If there's music, Don will listen to it. I will maybe listen to it.
I would love listen, I'm all about music recommendations. And in fact, I have spent countless hours building playlists on Tidal, Qobuz. Would be more than happy to publicly share those playlists. I've probably got 70 different playlists, audiophile oriented music that you would have to go out and search like I did. I have $4,000 monitors and a $2,000 sub on my computer. And while I'm working and doing design and every day, I listen. I let the algorithms sometimes guide me and help me. And if I hear a song having this really like high-end studio monitor sound, I can kind of get an idea, and I'm like, oh, and I save it. Then I take it and listen to it on my other system.
To the real system.
Yeah, well, it's pretty real, but yeah, it's fun, man. It's just, I dig it. I dig it. Passion.
That's cool. That's awesome. All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and put a pin in this one. Thank you so much for joining. Remember, like, subscribe, ring the bell for my channel. Hop over to Digital Don AV on YouTube. Like and subscribe over there as well. Content's coming. He's got some hot stuff on the way. It's brewing right now. And with that, we'll see you next Tuesday. And remember, it's Black Friday season. So if you want toys, there's not a better time to get them.
Use Jiles affiliate links, please.
And use Don. Well, send me a note. Don can, if you're in Florida, he'll come install it.
Just send me a check, though. It'll be all right.
There you go. Yeah, money's better. All right, everybody. Take care. See you in the next one.
Thank you so much.